When we speak about Taurus, the first thing that comes to mind is not outer strength, but an inner rhythm. Not everyone born under Taurus is the same, and they don't need to be. But if you listen long enough, you begin to sense something they share, something subtle, something deep. Like the sound of the earth breathing beneath your feet. That is stability. Not loud, not rushed, not needing to prove itself. Taurus doesn't usually move fast. They move steady. Like someone walking through a field in the early morning, not running, not checking the time, just placing each step onto ground still cool with dew. From the outside, it may look slow, but if you really watch, you'll notice they are never standing still. They simply choose a different rhythm. The rhythm of nature, where things grow gradually, and once they take root, they are very hard to move. The strength of Taurus doesn't come from how much they achieve in a short time. It comes from how long they can stay with something, long enough to understand, long enough to care for it, long enough to turn something fragile into something that can stand against the wind. Some people need speed to feel alive. Taurus is different. They need steadiness to feel safe. And that sense of safety is what allows them to go much farther than most people expect. In a world that keeps getting louder, where everyone is pushed to go faster, higher, and more, Taurus feels like a pause. Not a place to escape, but a place to regain balance. They don't deny change, but they refuse to be swept away by it. They understand that some values cannot be measured by instant results, and some achievements only arrive when you are patient enough to stay with the process. Maybe that's why Taurus carries a certain feeling with them. When you're near them, breathing feels easier. Slowing down feels allowed. You remember that life isn't only about the destination, but about how you walk each day. They don't need many words to teach resilience. The way they live, the way they repeat small, consistent actions already does that quietly. If you are a Taurus, or if you've ever felt like you can't keep up with the world, that may not be a flaw. It may simply mean you are moving to a different rhythm. A rhythm that isn't loud, but has depth. A rhythm that doesn't make noise right away, but has the power to keep things from falling apart. The stability Taurus carries is not rigidity. It's more like an old tree. It bends with the wind, but it doesn't break. Standing quietly through season after season, gathering strength from time itself. And perhaps, in a world always trying to move faster than yesterday, choosing to move slowly, to move steadily, and to trust your own process is a rare kind of courage. Not everyone needs to understand that path. Not everyone needs to walk it with you. You only need to know this. Every step you take, no matter how small, no matter how slow, is laying a foundation. And sometimes, it's those quiet foundations that are holding the entire world together. From there, people begin to notice something else about Taurus, something that isn't easy to name, but becomes very clear if you're close enough. It's the way they are present, not loud, not overpowering, just there, fully there, like a quiet stretch of ground in the middle of strong wind, a place where everything can pause and breathe. Taurus doesn't often use words to express who they are. They don't need to say they're strong. They don't need to explain that they care. Their presence alone is already an answer. When they sit beside someone in silence, that silence doesn't create distance. It creates safety. It's like the evening light still on in the house. No one is speaking, but you know you're not alone. There are moments when life becomes too loud. The noise of expectations, of comparison, of worries without a clear name. In moments like that, Taurus doesn't rush in to fix things with advice or quick action. They stay. They listen. They allow another person's emotions to exist without trying to push them away. And sometimes, that is the real strength. Not changing the situation, but keeping someone from being swept away by it. The silence of Taurus is not retreat. It's more like the surface of a still lake, reflecting the sky. Because of that stillness, everything becomes clearer. In silence, Taurus notices what words often miss: a shift in breathing, eyes lowering, the pause between two sentences. They listen with their full attention, without rushing to conclusions, without needing to respond right away. When challenges arrive, Taurus doesn't react with panic. They stand there, like an old tree that has known the wind for a long time. The wind comes, the leaves move, but the roots remain exactly where they are. From the outside, nothing dramatic may be happening, but inside, there is a quiet effort to keep balance, to keep emotions from spilling over, to keep actions from going further than necessary, to keep the heart open even when there are reasons to close it. Love, for Taurus, rarely comes with big words. It shows up as consistency, as staying when things are no longer comfortable, as small actions repeated over time without needing recognition. They protect not through control, but through patience. By not leaving when things become complicated. By holding space that is calm enough for others to return to themselves. In the middle of chaos, Taurus carries a very real kind of peace. Not because everything is already okay, but because they trust that things can pass if we don't lose ourselves along the way. They don't try to stop the storm. They choose to stand at its center, slow their own heartbeat, see so that the people around them can begin to find their breath again. Not everyone recognizes this strength right away, but over time, people remember Taurus as the one who was there when it mattered most. Not saying much, not making a show of it, just quietly present. And sometimes, in a world always trying to be heard, that silent presence is what reaches the deepest. From that silence, another layer of awareness slowly begins to open. Gentle, yet steady. Like early morning light, not bright enough to blind, but clear enough to reveal what truly matters. For Taurus, the world of values is not found in what is displayed, but in what remains after time has passed. You may notice that Taurus is often drawn to very simple things. A tidy room, a garden cared for day by day, a warm cup of tea in the morning, not because they lack big dreams, but because they understand that real beauty often lives in small details. These things don't impress right away, but they create a sense of safety, a feeling of being in the right place, a quiet reassurance that life is still moving forward within an order that can be trusted. Under the influence of Venus, Taurus has a very natural relationship with value. Not value to show off, but value to live with. They tend to respect honesty more than polished words, consistency more than impulsive gestures, peace more than dramatic moments. For them, love is not something that needs to be proven every day through promises. It is something nurtured quietly through the way we treat one another in the most ordinary moments. Taurus rarely speaks loudly about love, but they express it through steady presence, by remembering the small things others forget, by keeping their word in matters no one is watching, by creating spaces where others can relax, stop performing, and simply be. Love, in the world of Taurus, is the feeling of being safe while being yourself. The beauty Taurus senses is never loud. It might be sunlight falling across the floor in the late afternoon, an old song playing at just the right moment, the scent of earth after rain. These moments don't need to be named, yet they touch something very deep. They remind us that life is not only about the goals ahead, but also about the moments we are fully present in right now. Loyalty, for Taurus, is not a form of attachment. It is a choice, made again and again. They choose to stay. They choose to care. They choose to protect what matters. Not because they fear loss, but because they understand the value of building something long enough for it to stand on its own. In a world that changes quickly, that choice becomes a rare kind of anchor. Perhaps that is why, when people are near Taurus, trust comes more easily. Trust in the person in front of them. Trust in the relationship. Trust that not everything is fragile. The values Taurus carries do not promise anything grand. They simply whisper that if we are patient enough, honest enough, and respectful of small things, life will slowly grow steadier in a very natural way. And within that quiet current, Taurus keeps walking, without needing the spotlight, only holding on to what truly matters, a gentle reminder that love, when nurtured through action, will always find a way to stay. And from that very persistence, a subtle shift begins to appear, like the moment between seasons, when the ground still holds the cool breath of the old winter, yet new shoots are quietly waking beneath the surface. For those Taurus born in the earliest days of the season, that feeling is often very present, as if they enter life with a gentle push from behind, not forcing them forward, just encouraging them to keep moving. The early days of the season carry a unique kind of energy, not the impulsive urge to do something fast, but a conscious pull toward beginning with awareness. They often sense, very early on, that life is not a straight line, and that starting over is not a sign of failure. Instead, it is a natural part of the journey. Some people fear beginnings because they are tied to uncertainty. But Taurus born in these days is different. They don't seek uncertainty, yet they are patient enough to stand within it, to observe, to place each first stone carefully, one at a time. Within them exists a gentle balance between the drive to move forward and the need to remain grounded, not rushing ahead and not delaying endlessly either. Like a gardener who understands that a seed must be placed at the right depth, watered with care, and then left for time to do its work. They don't expect the tree to grow overnight. They only hope it grows the right way. And that understanding gives them the ability to rebuild from the beginning, even after everything has once fallen apart. Taurus born during this period rarely leaves an impression through noise. They leave it through consistency. When they decide to begin something, a new job, a relationship, or a different way of living, they don't announce their determination. They let their actions speak. Day after day, they repeat small steps, sometimes ordinary, sometimes unnoticed, but always pointing in the same direction. From the outside, others may not see much progress, and there may be moments when even they wonder if they are on the right path. Yet deep inside, they hold a quiet sense of stability, a feeling that as long as they remain true to their core values, everything is still moving forward, even if slowly. And that slowness does not weaken them. It gives them time. Time to adjust. Time to learn. Time to correct course before things grow too large to change. The lesson carried by these early days is not about getting ahead of others. It's about knowing how to begin without placing unnecessary pressure on yourself. No need to prove strength, and no need to race against someone else's clock. Only enough honesty to ask whether the next step truly fits, and enough patience to complete that step before worrying about the one after it. In a world constantly urging speed, choosing to begin slowly but steadily becomes an act of clarity. And Taurus, born in these days, in a very natural way, reminds us that a strong beginning does not need to be dramatic. It only needs to be aligned, enduring, and trusting enough to allow everything to grow in its own time. Once that rhythm is set, the story seems to move into a different space. Warmer, slower, like stepping into a home after a long day, a place where no one asks how fast you moved, only whether you made it back safely. For Taurus born during this time, that feeling is not just about a place. It becomes the way they show up in the lives of others. They don't usually appear as loud leaders or as people who change everything through grand gestures. They are present like solid ground beneath your feet, like a wall that keeps warmth inside when the wind grows strong. You may not notice it right away, but when they are no longer there, the absence becomes clear. Their care does not look like sacrifice. It does not need a name. It exists naturally, through small things, steady things, repeated day after day. These Taurus tend to notice what needs to be protected. They see value in maintaining, in preserving fragile things before they are swept away by haste. A relationship, a family, a healthy habit, a quiet space. For them, building matters. But keeping something alive is what truly requires patience, and they are willing to give time to that work. When you are close to them, you often feel accepted without needing to explain yourself. No need to be perfect. No need to be strong all the time. Just allowed to be who you are. They listen in a way that feels rare. They don't interrupt. They don't rush to offer solutions. They let the story be fully told. They let emotions move through, as if they understand that sometimes what's needed most is not fixing anything, but staying with someone until the weight begins to soften. The protection they offer is not control. It's like keeping a small light on at night, not to show the way, but to remind you that a safe place is still there, waiting. They protect by keeping their word, by not leaving when things become complicated, by continuing to show up even when no one is applauding. And in a world where everything is often measured by quick results, that steady presence becomes a very quiet kind of healing. Love, for them, does not need dramatic expression. It lives in repetition, in choosing to care each day, in choosing to tend, in choosing to stay. There are moments when they feel tired, moments when it seems they are giving more than they receive. But deep down, they understand that what is nurtured with patience is not easily lost, and that understanding is what allows them to continue, not out of obligation, but out of belief in the value of preserving what matters. Taurus, born in these days, often become a source of support without even realizing it. People come to them not for loud encouragement, but for reassurance. To rest within a presence that does not judge. To remember that life is not only about moving forward, but also about holding on to what is already enough. And through that process, they quietly heal themselves as well. Little by little, by creating stability in the world around them. Perhaps the greatest value they carry is not found in what they accomplish, but in the feeling they leave behind. The feeling that things can slow down. The feeling that some people do not disappear when life becomes difficult. The feeling that love, when given in silence and patience, can become a place of refuge. And within that quiet flow, they keep walking, without needing to be named. Only knowing this, that their presence alone is enough to keep one small corner of the world at peace. From that sense of calm, another kind of energy slowly takes shape, clearer, more structured, like when the morning rises higher and light begins to separate everything into clean, readable lines. For Taurus born in this phase, order does not feel rigid. It feels necessary, a natural need so that things can function without harming one another. They tend to see complex situations in a very particular way. Where others see confusion, they see connections. Where others feel overwhelmed, they instinctively look for a way to reset the rhythm. Not because they enjoy control, but because they believe that when things are placed where they belong, energy flows more easily. And when energy flows, people grow less exhausted. These Taurus rarely act on impulse. They tend to pause, to observe, to consider, not to delay, but to understand what kind of foundation they are laying. They know that every decision, even a small one, carries consequences. That awareness makes them careful, not out of fear of being wrong, but out of respect for those who will be affected by their choices. You may notice they grow quieter when facing major decisions, not because they lack confidence, but because they are building something inwardly, a structure, a plan that is not only logical, but sustainable over time. They are not looking for shortcuts. They are looking for a path they can walk for a long while. And in a world that often rewards speed, that choice requires a very deep kind of discipline. Discipline, for them, is not force. It's like tending a garden on a steady schedule, knowing when to water, knowing when to prune, knowing when to leave things alone. Their sense of responsibility does not come from external pressure. It comes from the feeling that if they don't keep the rhythm, everything could slip into disorder, and they are willing to carry that role. Quietly. In work and in daily life, they often become the person others turn to when clarity is needed. Not because they always have the right answers, but because they ask the right questions. They don't promise anything grand. They offer workable steps, one step at a time, clear, practical, possible. And it is this practicality that creates a strong sense of trust. What's remarkable is that beneath all the logic and structure, there is a very human core. They don't organize to prove competence. They organize to protect peace. So work doesn't crush people. So responsibility doesn't erase kindness. So systems serve life, and not the other way around. When discipline is built on that foundation, it doesn't make people rigid. It makes them steady. There are moments when even they feel the weight of having to think far ahead and look deeply. But over time, they come to understand that this ability to build and organize is not a random burden. It is a form of contribution, a way to make the world a little less chaotic, a way to create structures stable enough for others to lean on, to rest, and then continue their journey. And within that flow, they keep working, without needing great praise, only needing to know that each thing placed where it belongs today will help tomorrow pass more gently for many people. When everything has been placed into just enough order, another feeling begins to surface, softer, more refined, like when a room is not only tidy, but suddenly feels comfortable enough to stay in. For Taurus born during this time, balance is not an abstract idea. It is something they feel clearly in each small choice they make. They can sense when it is time to continue and when it is time to pause. Not because they lack drive, but because they understand that if you keep building without rest, everything becomes rigid. And if you only feel without structure, everything drifts away. Inside them, there is a quiet conversation between reason and emotion. No arguing, no overpowering, just a gentle search for the point where things are enough to exist in harmony. These Taurus often carry a very pleasant presence, not because they try to please, but because they do not force themselves or others to become something else. They respect emotional rhythms. They understand that everyone has moments to move forward and moments to slow down. And that respect creates a calm space, a space where people feel free to be themselves without judgment. Beauty, for them, does not live in cold perfection. It lives in fit. A room does not need to follow standards. It only needs to let the person inside breathe. A relationship does not need to be bright all the time. It only needs enough honesty so neither person has to hide their tiredness. They see value in simplicity that has been cared for, in small details placed thoughtfully in the right place. There are moments when they choose not to do more, even when they could. Not because they have given up, but because they can feel that things are already enough. Enough to not fix, enough to not add, enough to hold and respect as they are. And in a world that constantly pushes for improvement, for optimization, the ability to stop at the right moment becomes a rare kind of wisdom, and they carry that wisdom naturally. They are also deeply sensitive to the atmosphere around them. When energy grows tense, they soften it, not through control, but through calm presence, a measured word, a well-timed silence, a small adjustment that keeps things from going too far. Through them, we learn that balance is not stillness. It is continuous listening and gentle adjustment. The sense of completion they seek is not an endpoint. It is like tuning a piece of music, not to make it more complex, but to let it sound true to its original feeling. They do not chase absolute perfection. They pursue harmony that can survive real life. And that is why what they create, whether work and relationships or living spaces, always feels real. Around them, others often learn to listen to themselves more, to understand that it is not always necessary to do more in order to be worthy. Sometimes it is enough to adjust slightly, to breathe slower, to allow things to remain where they belong. And within that quiet balance, the Taurus of these days continues walking forward, carrying a beauty that does not demand attention, yet is deep enough to gently calm the world around them, one small moment at a time. And as the story moves through many different shades of Taurus, from solid foundations to quiet presence, to the ability to build and to balance, a common thread slowly begins to appear, thin yet strong. It is a trust in the process, not a blind trust, but an acceptance that life has its own rhythm, and that we do not always need to interfere for things to unfold as they should. Taurus, no matter the day they were born, often carries a very clear sense of natural timing. They understand that there are seasons to move forward and seasons to pause and breathe. There are moments that feel like loss, but when seen from a distance, they are simply small adjustments, guiding the path into better alignment. Not every closed door is an ending. Sometimes, it is life gently asking us to change direction, a little slower, a little deeper. Within that slower pace, Taurus learns to listen to intuition. Not the loud or dramatic kind, but something soft and familiar, like a quiet whisper from within. When they allow themselves to listen long enough, decisions begin to feel clearer. They don't need to be right immediately. They only need to be honest with what they are feeling in that moment. And from that honesty, action becomes more natural, less resistant. To slow down, for Taurus, does not mean falling behind. It is more like adjusting the heartbeat so it does not get pulled into the rushed breathing of the world. When they slow down, they begin to notice more. They notice what truly matters. They notice what is draining them. They notice what can be released without losing what is essential. And those small realizations, over time, help them maintain a healthier rhythm of living. Gratitude, for Taurus, is also quiet. It does not need to be spoken every day. It shows up in how they care for what they already have, in how they value what remains after change, in how they refuse to take good things for granted. When they work with gratitude, a pressure softens. When they love with gratitude, expectations ease. And in that softened space, things are given room to heal. Taurus may never think of themselves as someone who changes the world, but through the way they live, the way they keep rhythm, the way they refuse to abandon what deserves care, the world around them slowly becomes more stable. Not because problems disappear, but because someone is steady enough not to make things worse, patient enough not to destroy in haste, kind enough to choose gentleness when force would have been easier. One small act at a time, one day at a time. Taurus helps keep life from drifting too far from its basic values. They remind us that not everyone is meant to lead. Some are born to hold the rhythm, and holding the rhythm, even in silence, is still a powerful contribution. As the story settles, what remains is not a promise and not a prediction, only a very gentle invitation to trust your own process, to trust that slow steps, when taken with sincerity and patience, are still carrying you in the right direction. And within that trust, Taurus continues to live, continues to be present, like a steady heartbeat, helping the world move through another day with a little more stability and a little more kindness.